what is so. Do you agree with me
Yes, Council.
that these two versions are mutually exclusive? One is untrue.
That's correct, Council.
And if it's either you are not telling the tribunal the truth, or Ms. Mengo did not tell the tribunal the truth.
Yes.
Do you want to comment?
Yes, Council. Like I've explained, Ms. Mengu had brought when we arrived at the hotel, and then she offloaded her things. She had a luggage, and then she had a laptop, and she had the bag. At the time we're at the office, she had a bag.
Ms. Sontra had annexures to provide to this tribunal. She didn't receive them from you.
No.
All right. Ms. Moretwe, I must tell you that I find your evidence concerning, and that I will argue that your version should not be accepted, particularly as it relates to Ms. Mengo in due course. Do you want to respond to that?
I have no comment.
Okay. Thank you very much. No further questions, Chair.
Mr. Skhakhane.
Thank you, Chair. Ms. Murata, let me start with the elephant in the room. Why you were cross-examined now. I'm going to start with that issue at the end.
Okay.
There are two versions, and that's what causes the anxiety.
Yes.
Your version and Ms. Mengo's version are mutually destructive in this way, and I want your comment. You testified that Ms. Mengo had her laptop, therefore her laptop had the initial complaint, right?
Yes.
She testified that she didn't. She had no reference to the initial complaint. No, she had no copy. She had nothing electronic, although there were things that are similar, but let's leave that for now.
Yes.
That is the elephant in the room here. What has caused what is so. Do you agree with me
Yes, Council.
that these two versions are mutually exclusive? One is untrue.
That's correct, Council.
And if it's either you are not telling the tribunal the truth, or Ms. Mengo did not tell the tribunal the truth.
Yes.
Do you want to comment?
Yes, Council. Like I've explained, Ms. Mengu had brought when we arrived at the hotel, and then she offloaded her things. She had a luggage, and then she had a laptop, and she had the bag. At the time we're at the office, she had a bag, her handbag, at all times. It's only when we go to the office that now she had a laptop and her luggage and a handbag. And then, as I've explained, because it was too late, around past 9, I had to get home. I then asked her that, well, because we are not finished, can she continue typing, finalizing the comment? Because it was a very, very long story. Even, at the hotel, she would still get emotional as well.
Yes.
And then, so she had the complaint. The morning that when she came to the office with the laptop, and then there was a memory stick. I don't recall whether it was from her or myself, where we uploaded the complaint, and I printed it so that we can take it to commission. But I think after, when we're dealing, I also saved the uncommissioned one. I also saved it for my laptop. So she also had a copy of that. I also had a copy of it.
Yes.
Just a minute, because there might have been a confusion that you didn't intend. So I want that clarification.
Yes, President.
At the time when she was at the office, you saw her at the office after you had been called by the advocate?
Yes.
Now, that was at the office of the OCJ.
Yes, President.
At that stage, did Mr. Mengo have her laptop?
No. She only had her handbag.
Yes.
Yes.
At which stage did you notice that she had her laptop?
When we got to the hotel,
Okay, thank you.
yes, because they had booked her. She had a car, a rental car, so everything was there.
Okay,
Yes.
all right, thank you.
Right, Ms. Merkel. Let me complete this part and then we'll go sequentially again.
Okay.
Because it's what I think caused what you went through now. So, because you were watching the proceedings, something that is uncontroversial at all that was established was that the complaint, the second, let's call it, you call it the new complaint in your emails, the second complaint about which we are today, in certain parts, which is consistent with your version, is the same as the initial one, including mistakes, including spaces between where the word ends and where the full stop. That's identical, absolutely identical. Throughout, except new things. Do you have any comment about what would cause that identical nature of the two?
It can only be identical if you had the copy of the first one.
Right. Let me go back to the sequence.
Yes.
Lex, now we're going to your job. You started working at in 2022 as state law advisor, right? That's
Yes.
what you told us.
But I've been there in the beginning of 2019. I was also there.
Yes.
Yes.
In fact, you also tell us that you're quite familiar with the complaints against judges because that's what you dealt with.
Yes, Counsel.
This also means that you were the recipient of complaints that complainants brought against a judge, right?
Yes, together with my other colleagues, yes.
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 In fact, am I correct that your office, and I don't mean you, I mean the office,
Yes, Counsel.
is the arbiter of those complaints? It means it receives them and determines them.
Yes, Counsel, that's correct.
In fact, it is your office, and that includes you and the Chief Justice and everybody else, that must determine whether a complaint is valid or not.
Yes, that's correct.
And in fact, while we are there, I'm right to say that that is the only role of your office as recipients of the complaints. You process them and you make sure that they are dealt with fairly and without prejudice.
That is correct.
Right. In fact, I take it that one of your core responsibilities, as you said, was to summarize, sometimes write a memorandum to give to the Chief Justice, right?
That is correct.
You also said that you served as the Judicial Complaints Commission and the JCC, right?
Secretariat, yes.
Secretary of that. Thank you.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Mr. Skhakhane, but the Judicial Compliance Commission and the JCC is the same thing.
Yes, sorry, I made a mistake. Yeah, I made a mistake there. I think it's she understands what I mean. You
Yes.
are what you are.
Yes, I understand what you mean.
Thank you. Thank you. I hear there are so many JCC and right. Are there other responsibilities that the Section 16, 15, 16, 17 impose on you about how you process a complaint, other than the ones you've told us, which is to receive, to make sure that the Chief Justice receives them and to make sure that they are, to determine whether they are valid? Are there any other responsibilities that you have
In terms of?
in relation to complaints that
Okay.
you can think of?
Well, in terms of, it depends. If it's Section 17, you know that you will receive a complaint and then the Chief Justice will designate it to a particular member, a JCC member, to deal with that complaint. So you make a copy of that complaint and the letter of referral to the designated member to deal with the complaint. So after if there's a letter and then the complaint, I will give it to the JCC member to deal with that complaint. After the JCC member receives that complaint, once they've read it, they will tell me to issue a letter to the respondent
Yes.
requesting a written submissions as to the complaint that has been lodged against them.
Perfect.
Yes.
And am I correct, therefore, that in terms of Section 16, when you've received this, Section 16(1) of the JSA Act, right? JSC Act,
Yes.
the Chief Justice, if the complaint is valid,
Yes.
must refer it to the committee. Am I correct? Is
The
that
JCC, that's correct,
the
Council.
JCC? I'm
Yes.
correct this time, the JCC, the right JCC.
Yes.
Right. Am I correct that the Chief Justice and your office, as the arbiters of complaints, your job ends with processing it and making sure that it moves to the committee?
Remember, as the Chief Justice was the chairperson at the time, the complaint was given to him to consider.
Yes.
And then he read the complaint. And then after he established that if there's a likelihood, I don't recall the act from my head, Council.
It's the
Yes,
likelihood.
the matter will then be referred to the Judicial Conduct Committee to consider whether to refer the complaint to the tribunal. Hence, I said that at some point the Chief Justice asked me to write the letter where we refer the complaint to the JCC.
Yes. No, I get
Yes.
that. I get
Yes,
that. So
Council.
that's the role. That's what happened when your office receives it, is that it determines. And if it's not valid, does the Act tell us? Does the process tell what happens if it's not?
You mean in terms of if the complaint is not valid?
It's not valid, and there's maybe it's not valid, and there's no likelihood that it would lead to impeachment or charge of misconduct. What happens?
If the complaint is not valid,
Yes.
normally, if it depends, I guess, on the seriousness of the offense, if it will be dealt with in terms of Section 6, if it's 1616 and it was referred to the JCC and then they said, and when they consider the complaint, they establish that it's not valid, then they will dismiss the complaint.
No, we're not there yet.
Oh.
The Act says if valid, the Chief Justice must then refer it. And I'm asking you, and if not,
Then it would not be referred to the Judicial Conduct Committee.
and what happens to it?
Then it means it probably fell under Section 15 complaints.
Which means?
We're not talking about in a sense if it's a sexual harassment. We're just talking it in.
No, I'm not in terms of which conduct. I'm saying a complaint. And
We are not even talking specifically about this case.
yes.
Oh, okay.
It's just the general.
Okay.
procedure.
If it's
Thank you, Chair. That's
if it's not valid, it would be considered maybe it dealt with in terms of Section 15, where it can be summarily be dismissed. Maybe in a sense that it relates to a court order, or it's frivolous, then lacking in substance. Yes.
Yes, I'm saying if it's not valid, I don't think the Act would have a section that way providing that you send invalid complaints.
No.
Yeah, so I'm asking you, all complaints, forget their nature,
Yes.
because the Act tells us if it's serious, if it's not serious. What happens when a complaint that lands on your table, or let's say the Chief Justice, but that includes you, is invalid?
If it's invalid, then it will not be considered.
Right.
Yes.
Do you know, in your experience, because you've dealt with complaints, have you had a complaint that's invalid before?
Yes, we have had many whereby whereby it would not have. Let's for instance, sometimes people will lodge a complaint through a letter. Yes, that is some of the instances whereby it will not be valid because the complaint must be lodged in the form of an affidavit or an affirm statement.
So that is invalid.
Yes, if it's in a letter.
Yes, I'm saying.
Yes.
If
Yes.
it's not in the format that is prescribed.
Yes, Council.
Right. And the role of your office would be to, as you said, then let's use the word, it falls apart.
Yes, but yes, but
This
you
is
would.
not valid.
Yes, but you will inform the complainant that the reason why it's not valid.
Of course.
Yes,
Right. Let's get to this particular complaint.
yes,
The Chief Justice at the time, according to your affidavit, was Chief Justice Zondo, who's now a former Chief Justice.
that is correct, Counsel.
Right. You say in your affidavit that Advocate Potgieter told you that when it started, there was a lady that needed assistance in lodging a complaint, right?
Yes, Counsel.
Did she tell you, would you sort of enlighten the tribunal about what sort of assistance did she need?
She told me the complaint needed assistance with lodging a complaint.
Right. And by lodging, you mean filing it with you guys, with your office.
Yes, that's correct, Counsel.
Did she tell you that she needed legal representation and that you would have to play that role?
No. He didn't. He just said he needed assistance with lodging a complaint.
In fact, I'm correct. It's not your job to be the legal representative of any complainant that comes, because it would be unfair for you to advise as the recipient to be involved in assisting a complainant like their lawyers, right?
Yes, we just assist. We are not their legal advisors.
I'm not asking you about what you do. I'm saying your job actually is to receive and process,
Yes,
right?
yes,
And it would be unfair to refer or to think that you have a role that a lawyer of a complainant would play, right?
yes,
You agree with me?
yes.
And I take it in from your affidavit, you don't say which judge. He said it's a she. She said to you, there is a complaint about a senior judge in the Eastern Cape.
Yes,
At that point, I take it that she didn't tell you it was the respondent, JP Mbenenge, in these proceedings, right?
that is correct.
And I take it from reading your affidavit that she did not tell you what type of discussion she had with the complainant, or whether she had spoken to the Chief Justice at the time.
Who advocate put that?
Yes.
Whether she did? Whether she
I'm
what?
saying she did not tell you what discussion she had, if any, with the complainant.
She just told me that there was a lady who needed assistance with lodging a complaint against a senior judge. The complaint related to sexual harassment.
Right? She also, as you say in your affidavit, told you that this must be dealt with utmost confidentiality.
Yes.
Right? Are there complaints with which you deal without confidentiality?
No, all complaints that are lodged with the JSC are dealt with confidentiality. In fact, there's a section in the JSC Act that provides for the confidentiality of information.
Absolutely. So I'm correct that it would have been obvious, because it's your job, that anything you deal with about judges is confidential.
That is correct. Counsel.
Except that, Advocate Skhakhane, this time Advocate Potgieter added a word. She said, utmost confidentiality. So he didn't just say, this is the case where you should deal with confidential, witness confidentiality. She said, this is the case where utmost confidentiality.
Yes, in fact, it's
We're just reinforcing the point.
In fact, it's my next point.
All right, okay, then I've covered you then.
I'm going
Go to the other one.
So now that we know that it had to be dealt with confidentiality, with utmost confidentiality, did you know what that meant?
Yes, that no, it must not. It must not be leaked. No other people must know that the complaint has been lodged. And it relates to what, and it's against who. That is my understanding.
No, it's fine. Thank you. In paragraph 6, you say that as I did not specify how you had to assist the complainant. Am I correct?
Yes, that's correct.
You say in paragraph 6 you understood it to mean filling forms and deposing to an affidavit.
Yes,
Am I correct that it would suffice then to interpret the instruction you were given is that you had to explain the process to a complainant, to the complainant as you would with any complainant,
that is correct.
right? Am I correct that previously, and correct me if I'm wrong, you have not drafted a complaint for a complainant, other than in this case?
That is correct. I've never written typed a complaint for a complainant.
Yeah, I'm going to get back to that. So this was the first time you went, let's call it beyond the call of duty.
That is correct, Council.
You ended up typing the complaint of a complainant that must submit it to yourself,
That is correct, Council.
right? And I established with you that your task as the Office of the Chief Justice is to receive them and be arbiters of whether they are compliant then or valid, right?
Yes,
In paragraph 7, you say, and I think it was canvassed earlier this morning in your cross-examination, that you say Advocate Bertrita asked you to bring the form and your laptop, right?
that is correct, Council.
So the instruction that you must type it, I suppose, came from her?
No. Like I said, based on the emotional state that she was in, I volunteered to type because I saw that she was not in the condition to type.
Thank you. And I take it, because it's not clear in your affidavit, you did not know how long Advocate Bertrita had been with the complainant?
No, I did not know, Council.
And she did not tell you that,
No,
right? You say that she then left you with Miss Mengo, right?
yes, Council.
So at the time, Miss Mengo did not have a complaint written or any form filled.
No, she did not have.
And am I correct that in the ordinary case, maybe not this one of utmost confidentiality, in the ordinary case, you would, as you have already confirmed, you would explain the process like any person who wants to complain.
Yes, what normally happens is that when I was still working at the Office of the Chief Justice, we will also have walking clients whereby they will come and tell us that they want to lodge complaints, whereby we will explain to them the process of lodging a complaint and the procedure. Thereby, we will also email them the JCC complaint form for them to complete if they still want to proceed to lodge the complaint.
Yeah.
Yes, Council.
I make the point again, as you confirmed. This was the first time you went beyond the call of duty and drafted what was to be submitted to your office.
Yes, that's correct, Council.
Thank you. In paragraph 7, there are instances, as you said, where a complaint is not brought to the attention of the CJ. You say this one had to be brought to the attention of the CJ for a particular reason, right?
Yes.
Would you take us to that point again, and why this one?
Okay. Complaint, if a complainant lodges a complaint against the head of court, that complaint will be given to the chief. Let's say the complaint is firstly taken to the Chief Justice after we've sent acknowledgement letters, prepared memos. So we give it to the Chief Justice to consider it. He will read through it and say refer to the head of court.
Right.
So we write a letter to the head of court telling them that there's a complaint against a judge in your division that you must consider. Then that letter and the complaint, the copy of the complaint will be scanned and emailed to that particular head of court to do with
Yes.
the complaint. Once the complainant, the JP is finalized with that, has considered that complaint, he will write a letter to us informing whether, making a recommendation whether the complaint must be dismissed. For example, sometimes most of the complaints, if they relate to a court order, they will say that we recommend that the complaint be dismissed as it relates to the merits of a court order.
Yes.
Yes.
And then you tell us that consistent with the fact that you had brought your laptop and you wanted to assist, you started typing the complaint.
Yes.
And I take it you first, and correct me if I'm wrong, you explained the process to the complainant
Yes.
as you would any complainant, right?
Yes.
And then, as I say, you then started your, let's call it, going beyond the call of duty, and you drafted it for her,
Yes. I started typing.
typing it for her.
Yes.
You also tell us that at some point you had to abandon the typing because she had to check in. Am I correct?
Yes,
She had not
because
checked in at the time.
yes, because I recalled that she had said she had not checked in, and then because she needed to check in, I suggested that she goes and check in, and then we can continue in her hotel room.
And the hotel room that, the hotel you talked about, you testified that it's the Protea Hotel, and you say that which is next to the offices of the Chief Justice, right?
That is correct, Kanza.
Do you know if your office had assisted her to seek abode there?
Yes, I think they had booked for her.
Thank you.
Yes.
You say that at some point around when you were then in her room, you typed until it was, I know it's controversial because it's being disputed, but you say you did the typing with her until 9 o'clock, 21 hours, 2100 hours, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And at this point, am I correct that you were using your laptop
To type.
to this point?
Yes, Kanza.
And you were not done by that time and you had to leave,
Yes.
right? Now, this is the point that I think is going to be, I think has been disputed to you, is that it is at this point you say that Miss Mengo had actually, contrary to her testimony, had actually brought a laptop,
Yes.
and therefore that is why you were able to ask her to proceed. You say this in paragraph 11 of your affidavit, right?
That is correct, Kanza.
Would you tell us again, if I'm correct, you then had to put or save on your memory stick or a memory stick what you had typed so that you could put it in or save it on her laptop?
I saved what I had typed
Yes.
in a memory stick, gave it to her so that she can save the document in her laptop so that she can continue typing.
Right.
Yes.
And so you then had, as you say, we know now, at least on your version, that the electronic version of what you had typed and what she continued to type would have been on her laptop.
Yes, that's correct.
You also say in your affidavit that the two of you, as you parted ways, agreed that you would meet on the following day and that she would continue typing and you would continue the following day.
Yes.
But on the following day, you say in your affidavit that when she came to you, having worked very hard, she indicated that she had completed
That's
typing.
Yes, she had completed typing it.
May I ask if at this point you continued to assist or you simply took the version that she had typed?
I simply took the version that he had typed because she indicated that she had finalized typing it. So all was left is for us to print and commission the document.
Would you favor me with some explanation as to how you took it from her laptop? I know it looks repetitive, but let's just get the process of how it got to you so that you could print it.
We used the memory stick, Council.
What do you mean you used? You saved what was on her laptop in your memory stick?
I'm not sure whose memory stick, but
Doesn't
we
matter.
took a memory stick. She saved it on the memory stick, the complaint that she had worked on, and then I took it, put it on my laptop so that I can print it.
So that we go back to the first point, because as I said, it's the elephant in the room.
Just a minute. Just a minute.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you. So you would persist with your version, contrary to hers, that the version that she typed, which is the one that finally became that complaint, was on her laptop.
That is correct, Council.
You also say in your affidavit that you requested her to send you screenshots of the conversations between herself and JP, which you printed. Am I correct?
Yes, Council.
You printed it. Did you print it there and there? May I inquire?
Yes, we are printing it there and there.
And this, you say it's because you wanted to attach this to the complaint or the affidavit as Annex A. Am I correct?
That's correct, Council.
Thank you. And then you tell us, we go back to the part about the confidentiality. You tell us that you gave her your private email, right?
That's correct.
Before we go further with the private email, I just want some clarity. When you say that you asked her to send you some, is it screenshots or whatever it is?
It's the WhatsApp communication between
WhatsApp
her.
communication.
Yes, JP.
Did she do that?
Yes.
But we're on that same day. That's what I wanted to know.
Yes, on the same morning, that morning when she came after the complaint she had finalized typing.
Yes.
After I printed the complaint,
Yes.
now there were conversations. Remember, she had referred to the conversations.
Yes.
So she had to screenshot the conversation, send to me so that I can print.
Do you know how she sent them to you?
She would screenshot and then send from her private email.
Okay, let me leave it there.
Yeah.
Am I correct? Going back again to the point I made, that maybe because of the nature of this complaint, you hadn't worked so hard to assist the complainant.
That is correct, Council.
You say then and by the way, the date by this time is the 8th, am I correct?
That's correct, Council.
And then you, having printed the affidavit, the complaint, you then proceeded to commission it at the police station,
That is correct, Council.
obviously with the complainant, right?
Yes, I was with the complainant.
I want to take it to the point that I made earlier, because it's something that we're going to argue later. Was there any difference, in your view, between what she had typed the night before and what you had left having typed? Or you do not know?
Was there?
Was there any difference? Did she remove what you had typed, or she added? She simply added.
I didn't read the complaint at that stage as to whether there was any difference between what.
But you've read what is called the initial complaint now, haven't you? You've seen it.
The second one, or which one?
The one you acknowledged. The one you went to commission to the police station.
Yes.
You've read it?
Yes. But it was a long time ago. Yes.
No, it's fine.
Yes.
It looks like the one you had signed. I mean, you
No,
had commissioned with her.
She said it was a long time ago. I don't think that question, I don't know what you mean it looks, because they're all written on a paper and printed in black and white.
It's
But
fine.
I think we must be careful without giving the witness the opportunity to compare the two. We must be careful not to go too far with the comparison.
Chair, I am going there. You know, I think I am going to the real documents. And may I adjourn?
Yeah.
5 minutes, because I am going where the chair thinks I'm not going. And
No,
I think it disturbs
I wouldn't
me.
have allowed given the platform if I did not know that we're going the same direction. So I think what I was saying was we should just be careful not to grow beyond a certain line when we compare the documents, because I'm not sure what you mean by saying they look the same.
Chair, that's why I asked the question, have you read it?
Ask her the question.
I said, have you read it?
A
Answer
long
the
time
question.
ago.
Thank you. We will go to it when the time comes. Chair, can I adjourn? For 5 minutes
for how
to
long?
talk to give me 5 minutes.
How much?
5 to talk to my clients
Yes.
and the other team.
Should we maybe make it longer so that we don't have to
We
take a
take
break for